Ask anyone who knows me well, and they'll tell you my discipline is intense. It's become a running joke in my family that I'm part robot. Soy un hombre juicioso. That's what the front desk lady at my gym calls me because I never miss a day. But sometimes I feel like I have life in such a tight grip that it actually suffocates some of the serendipitous moments. I don't think I've always been like this, but as long as I can remember, this rigid nature has been a part of me. Maybe it's a defense mechanism. I was never the star athlete or smartest kid in the class, but what I did have was endurance, life stamina, an incredibly high tolerance for delayed gratification. As I got older and became more ambitious, the sense of hyper-focus and discipline became intoxicating. Whether it was dieting, abstinence, or working on music, I knew I had cultivated this other gear that a lot of people didn't have. I would take pride in the ability to resist temptation in almost any form. But eventually, I realized that life needs a little indulgence. I don't have a problem holding on to dreams. I have a problem letting them go. Part 1. Overboard. If I'm not careful, I easily dip into extreme modes of work and isolation. In my mid-20s, arguably my physical prime, I didn't have sex for 3 years because I thought looking for love took too much time. If we're being candid, I'm often at war with myself, trying to find meaning in activities that I see bringing joy to others. Going away for the weekend, going out at night, sleeping in, and having a lazy day. It sounds ridiculous, but all of these I find incredibly difficult, rarely doing any of them. And if I am doing them, I feel like I'm betraying myself. If I'm going out at night or having a lazy day, it's often trying to please someone else. I don't know why I can't be more normal. Maybe it's the cultural programming. Maybe it's this ambitious spirit inside of me, probably driven from the same insecurities that made me want to be a famous rapper in the first place. What makes this tricky is it's the same side of me that I believe is responsible for a lot of my happiness and ultimately my success. So when I turn down offers to go out for a date, I feel strange, often disappointing my company or whoever I'm with at the time. Why is that so hard for me? But if I'm honest with myself, I feel most alive when I'm learning and working on a project I'm excited about, which often take extended periods of time and dedicated focus. I know most creatives don't like the idea of routine, but I'd argue creativity comes from structure. When you don't have to wait for inspiration, you're able to find it, simply by making space for it. When I reduce the noise in my life, I find it much easier to be creative, which often sounds strange to people when I tell them I've created rules for myself, like wearing the same outfits every week, eating the same thing every day, and treating bedtime like religion. I've automated so many decisions in my life that I'm able to put my creativity towards the things that matter to me. But this strong sense of routine can become dangerous because any change feels threatening. That's when I end up in these cycles of celibacy and deviant behavior. So I decided to run an experiment. I recently had an opportunity to go to Atlanta for a project. It would be a whirlwind trip of 3 or 4 days, completely different than anything I'd done before, with late nights and little sleep. So I decided to go for it. Part 2, Achilles heel. All right, let me take a second to say that I realize that these are deeply personal ideas. And the reason that I like to share them in this capacity is because it's a form of therapy for me. I also hope that in doing so, you're able to take some of these things as well. I think one of the most powerful and beautiful parts about creating art is this sense of feeling like you're not alone. I'm not telling you how to live. This is not me trying to lecture you or be pedantic. And another piece of this is this concept of how our greatest strength is also at the same time our Achilles heel. For myself, this boils down to rigidness, discipline, and structure. I would say my biggest asset is the fact that I'm able to stick to a discipline, stick to habit, build habits. And I think that leads to an incredible amount of creative output. At the same time, this structure, this is often when I feel like I'm missing out on life, the serendipity. I haven't done a great job of creating room or space for these things. So I love this idea of travel and challenging yourself, but the structure of my life often stays the same no matter where I am. And I hope that by me doing my own internal self-exploration also resonate with some of you. Helping people feel seen is a real thing. Acceptance. As my time in Atlanta came to a close, I started to feel this excitement to get back to my normal life. I had a lot of fun in the A. I learned a ton about how to produce and work as part of a team to film something at a much bigger scale than I'm used to. And it was a good challenge. I also came to understand that this way of life I like to live is just a part of me. That the day-to-day habits and choices I make are what keep me motivated. This isn't a game of being perfect. It's a game of self-acceptance. I want to be better, but there is no finished version of me, simply iterations. Growth is messy and is a constant process. I am enough. You are enough as we are right now. We have habits and traits we would like to change, of course, but at some point, accepting who we are is as equally as important as changing who we are. Because this isn't about trying to be more normal, as much as I'd like to be. Being different is a good thing, even if it causes friction at times with friends or family. There is no one right way to do this. What's important for me to remember is that this way of life is a choice. I can choose to deviate or change from it at any point. Experiment, pivot, try something new. I still have time. We always have time. It's about being intentional about the decisions we make and the self-awareness to see if those decisions are still serving us. So here we are, 31 years young, still learning how to accept myself and what I am. Still learning how to let go of what I think I should be or need to be. A reminder to myself that it's okay to be different. It might even be a good thing.